Naughty Dog legal team be like, where's that sphincter? I wonder what these windows do. Oh shit, dude, that's it's my neighbor, dude. He's just like walking his dog and he sees me try to lick my window, dude. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today's it's kind of a serious video. Naughty Dog. Yo, my neighbor's really gonna fucking... Naughty Dog and Sony might try to remove this video. And no. I'm not saying that because it's an edgy, cool, clickbaity thing to say. No, I'm actually saying that because The Last of Us 2 got pretty leaked. Now, I like to think Last of Us 2 is like Halo for PlayStation, and it's quite fitting that both Halo 5 is dog shit, and so is Last of Us 2. You might wonder, well, Muda, how can you say Last of Us 2 is dog shit? That's right, I really can't. The game isn't out, and I haven't played the game. And that's true, I haven't played the game at all. But you know how much of this game got, like, leaked? Pretty much all of it, okay? Pretty much a big chunk of this game. The important chunks of it, covering not just the game's cutscenes, plot points, but the gameplay, debug menus, hell, portions of its multiplayer came out, which I believe isn't even part of the game, because they just had to cut it out. But that being said, so much of this game is leaked at this point that I think it's fair, if you've seen the leaks, that you can pretty much say for a fact that this game won't be good to you. And that's pretty much what I'm going to say right now. Now let me just start this video off before, I get into Last of Us 2 by saying what I liked about Last of Us 1, and shit, what I like about Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog makes some damn decent movies, okay, that you can interact with every once in a while. Oh, Muda, how dare you call Uncharted it's a movie, okay? Last of Us is a movie, all right? It's a movie with interactive segments. Playing a Naughty Dog game is like, firing up your PlayStation 4, putting in that Blu-ray, playing through an amazing storyline, I would say, have a fun time. But the gameplay, once you go through it once, it's pretty much done and over with. Now, that being said, I'm not against it. I think moment-to-moment Naughty Dog games are nice. And Last of Us to me is important because while I like the gameplay of it, the storyline is like the showstopper. I walked into Last of Us 1 on the PS3 with no expectations. None at all. And when I played that game, what blew me away was the introduction. I still remember the introduction to Last of Us like nothing. When you, as a father, have to grab your daughter and take her through a zombie apocalypse that just kicked off in Texas, and it turns out your daughter dies. Yes, I spoiled the first, 20 minutes of the game. It's a pretty impactful scene. 20 years later, you wake up a bitter man. It's a scene that I swear sticks with me no matter what. And as you play through this entire journey, you meet a girl named Ellie, okay, that pretty much you develop this father-daughter budding relationship with. It's completely, two separate people in the beginning, but by the time you get to the end, the journey you have, bro, you develop a connection. I mean, it's a really well-written, well-done story. What about Last of Us 2? Well, let me just tell you, it's the best goddamn
hole-in-one experience.
Now, I'm gonna give you a quick coverage of Last of Us 2 leaks in a way that Sony can't legally take me down. Imagine for a second you were playing Metal Gear Solid 2, right? And you were like, oh, dude, is that Solid Snake? Oh boy, Kojima figured me out. And then an hour into the game, this like gay little twink pops in called Ryder, and you're like, let me get that sphincter. And then by the time you get to like midway of the game, Raiden meets up with Snake, right? But except instead of going like, oh shit, dude, are you Iroquois Pliskin? No, he grabs a katana, slices Snake's face in half, all right, chugs a Red Bull, and then starts peeing into his eye socket, and then starts dancing around. Maybe it's a bit of a hyperbole, but yeah, imagine if that happened in MGS2. We'd probably sit back and say, oh, well, that's not good. And then Otacon comes out and says that he's into cuckoldry, which actually, I think that's actually part of the canon, if I'm not mistaken. Imagine if Splinter Cell, Sam Fisher decides to age 10 years, but then have the acrobatics of a man in his 20s, and he's turned into Jason Bourne. Oh wait, fuck, they made that an actual game. God damn. Fucking Ubisoft can't stop clickbaiting Sam, poor guy. Now that I've covered Last of Us 2 leaks the best that I can, it's almost the same scenario, just switch characters around. That being said, all right, all of it, it's not coming together as an engaging and fun story. Granted, I should play it. Granted, the story may actually redeem itself. We had... Oh, wow. Sorry, I'm a little allergic to BS. The story for me, all the beats so far are so against what made the original Last of Us great that I just can't see myself willing to play it with, just that level of, just love that I would have for the original. Last of Us, Naughty Dog games are not something that I wait years upon years for. But Last of Us 2 is one of those games that I was actually waiting for. When I saw the initial gameplay reveals at E3 with my buddies, I said, you know what, yeah, it's a pretty damn good looking game, and I would like to actually play it. But knowing what's going to happen with the characters at this point, for plot moments that make literally no sense at all, and I know a lot of people out there have definitely made this claim that, oh, well, this game has a lot of inclusivity in it. I've made that claim to an extent as well, and I don't have any issue with inclusivity. I don't want to give the idea that gamers are these homophobic, racist, misogynistic individuals, because really it's not about that. Really gay, transgender characters make sense for video games sometimes. It's literally just a character feature if you think about it. I watched this show called The Ozarks, and in The Ozarks there's a gay FBI agent, okay? There's some pretty hot, sexy scenes with him. But the reality of it is it's really not about him being gay, because what people remember the most about his character is that he's a really psychotic FBI agent that gets his CIs addicted to opioids. He's a messed up sociopathic individual. You pretty much forget all these, flavor features of a character after a while, and it's pretty much the same thing that's being popped into this game to an extent. I've even heard things like Anita Sarkeesian being behind Last of Us 2, and honestly, I just want all of that to stop. I don't care about the team necessarily behind the game. What I care about is a good story and good games. It feels like a lot of people are interested in creating characters that sort of fit, these generic, ticks, like, hey, this is a character that's blah, 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 blah. And they're so focused on making factions that are, ooh, evil religious organization, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? The reality is, if they're written well, I'm okay with it. But looking at the leaks right now and the lack of care that Naughty Dog has had for the prior material, literally the last game in the Last of Us franchise, the only other game, is a little offensive to people who were waiting for this game to begin with. It changed from this loving father-daughter relationship zombie trek from Boston to Salt Lake City into literally just some generic tale that I can't really disclose because, again, Naughty Dog would have a fit out for me. If you want to check out these leaks, they're floating around on the internet all you want. But that all being said, the storyline to me just doesn't seem like it has the same punch as the original. Sure, the gameplay is there, but honestly, I'm kind of biting into this game for the storyline. And could the story still excite me? Sure. But the way that they've covered it, and at least looking at the major plot points that have actually been leaked, I don't know. I don't know if I can jump into this game with sort of that same fervor. And it has nothing to do with this weird notion that, they've got this transgender character. Oh man, even though that's not even the reality of it. It's just a stronger female character, Abby, that they mentioned. And we've seen her in a trailer at Paris Gamescom, if anything. So it doesn't seem like, Naughty Dog really gives a shit about the prior game that came out in the franchise. And honestly, looking at these story beats that I've seen leaked out, I just can't see myself personally to be that invested in the game to begin with. And I know there's going to be people in the audience who say, you have to play a game to really understand and really get into it. That's true for a lot of reasons. And by no means am I denying that, sure, the gameplay for this will be great. I'm sure the gameplay will be amazing. I like the original Last of Us, and it'd be hard to wonder how they can screw up the gameplay of the original Last of Us when it's going to be roughly the same in this game. In fact, seeing what I saw at E3, already pretty good enough in my eyes. But honestly, it just boils down to the story of Last of Us 2. And it's something that I'm not really getting behind. And I don't understand it, really. I don't understand how Naughty Dog can go from, this true proper writing team, that worked on the original game, and how they can create this amazing story with not just a great story, but a story that's centered around the building of a relationship that's done in such a natural way. And then completely axe that shit pretty much in the next game. I don't know. I really don't know. Now, the leaks that actually ended up coming out of Naughty Dog, apparently Sony has said it's a hacker that's unrelated to the entire team. And while that may be true, and I'm not going to say that it's not, personally, I've also heard that it came out from a disgruntled employee or something. And I've heard that the actual team at Naughty Dog is so divisive over what they've done in the plot that it's actually not even funny. Like, looking into how they've treated it, how they treated their employees, which I'm really not going to get into. This isn't really the video for that. It's kind of the reality of most AAA game developers when it comes to things like crunch. But I'm going to get into, like, at least this notion of a hack. I personally feel that this is still done somewhat by a really disgruntled employee who wanted the actual audience to know. And honestly, if this disharmony is existing, and it was reported to exist to an extent, and now I guess it's a hacker, then it kind of shows me the level of faith that even the company has in this game. But with all of that being said, you know, Last of Us 2, this is a sad video to make because no one likes a bad game, okay? I don't like a bad game. I like all games to end up being good. And in a way, I was waiting for Last of Us 2. I mean, Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima are the last big PlayStation games, or at least PlayStation 4 games that we're going to get into. And on such a high note with gaming right now, it's almost bad to see that, it's sad to see that it happened to a pretty stellar franchise so far. But hey, Last of Us 2 launches, what, next month? Maybe end of this month? I'm not entirely sure. Actually, next month, like mid-next month. Will I probably end up getting it? Yeah, I'll end up going to the store and buying it fucking used. But yeah, I'll end up getting it used, and I'll probably end up playing through it, and I'll stream it, and we'll see what it's like as a final finished product. But so far, the leaks have not completely won me over. And with all of that said, it's not for the reasons that you'll see on Twitter. It's not for the reasons that you'll see on all these sites right now. It's literally sadness emanating from the fact that this game just, I feel, after looking at all these leaks, doesn't capture the entire aura of the original game, okay? And that's really what it is. Last of Us 1, great game in my opinion. May not be the best game of all time, but I can pop that Blu-ray in any time and be sucked in, okay? There are so many highlights of that game that it's not even funny, and it's a story worth experiencing. Last of Us 2, I hope, despite all these leaks, this game ends up being, you know, pretty damn decent. Or at least makes up for it in other ways. With that said, though, this is me, Mutahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.